And what a match-up it'll be with these two teams and all the talk. I mean, all the talk's probably leading into this match going to be about the two most talked about players in the game, that being Walsh and Cleary.
I love everything about this matchup. Much like the first weekend of finals, where I was most excited about Raiders-Broncos, this weekend it's all about, I'd love to see my team get up the Melbourne Storm on Friday night, but it's this matchup here. Two very different footy sides with the way they play and the way they approach the game. Penrith, they're happy to just grind out a tight victory. If they can score 40 like they did in the weekend, they're happy to do that also. But this Brisbane side, they want to go out and entertain from minute one. And they just want to blow you off the park with their speed, with their power. I've not seen two teams like the Raiders and the Broncos in that first week live this year with so much speed and energy and power on the footy field. Like, no one. So it's going to be interesting how, when these two teams collide with very different approaches to the game, who will come out on top.
What about the loss of Pat Carrigan? For me, he's probably in the top 2 or 3 forwards in the game. I think he's going to be a big loss for the Broncos. How does that affect them, you think?
Well, I think it won't knock their confidence too much. I think they're a group that are very confident within their own sort of team and who comes in to replace him. But I think what he does give that footy side is that 1-2 punch with Payne Haas, right? I think that's the best combination, front row combination we've got in the competition. And he gives big minutes too. He's got a high work rate. It's hard to replace something like that. But whoever comes in and fills that void will, they're just another powerful player who they're going to do some damage to the Penrith defensive line. The
big team announcements tomorrow, Alana, for the Broncos. A lot of intrigue around year 6 and 7. If Ezra Mam and Adam Reynolds are good to go, what do they do with Ben Hunt, Corey Pakes? He's spoilt for choice, Michael Maguire?
He's very spoilt for choice. I don't know. I think it's a tough one. I'm intrigued to see what he does do. I think the biggest thing is, and the thing that'll work always in the Broncos' favour is that element of surprise and who they've got on the bench. Like, if you carry an Ezra Mam on the bench, which was probably the way that I would lead, you're watching the clock and you're watching the sideline waiting for when he's going to come on for his stint and what a fresh Ezra Mam's going to do, right? So, look, they're spoilt for choice. I think anyone that they start with is going to be dangerous, but it's that player on the bench that I'd probably be more worried about containing when there is a little bit of fatigue in the game.
Considering their opposition, Gus, what's at stake? What would you be doing?
Yeah, look, it's an interesting game. We talk about system versus talent. Panthers pride themselves on their principles and their systems and their style of play. Brisbane rely heavily on their talent, their speed, their size, their skill and everything from that. When I watched the Canberra-Brisbane game back again, once it was a monument, and it was one of the most intriguing games of football you could ever watch. If you turned the sound down and turned the crowd down and the excitement down and actually watched the football, there was a lot of loose defence from both sides. There wasn't finals defence from either side in that game. Canberra had a big lead and blew it. Broncos were down 28-12 at one stage. It was hardly looking nice for them. So it will really who gets their game on first. If the Panthers get into their rhythm, they will snuff Brisbane out of this. But if Brisbane get a run of penalties early or some good ball and can get on the scoreboard and get that crowd behind them, then they're an awesome beast to try and stop. The talent takes over and all of a sudden they've got no fear of consequence. They play without inhibition. They just play without fear of anything or hesitation with anything. And they can get on a roll and beat you. Talent wins. Talent does win. Which one do you want to back? Do you want to back system versus talent? I'm going to go with system. I'm going to back the Panthers.
And that man, Nathan Cleary, is the one to be pulling the strings. Of course, there was a little reminder from him earlier this season about what he can do, and he's done it before to them in the 2023 Grand Final. That try, it was almost a mirror image, this one. We were at this game and everyone's mind simply blown, and he'll be up for this. You just know that.
Yeah, I think so. The big players, they love this time of year. And, Gal spoke about it earlier where, some of their more senior players, they weren't in that great a touch at the start of the year, and they would have spoken about that. They would have been disappointed with how the first part of this season went for them, both as a team and as individuals. But you've just seen them slowly but surely start to increase their standards and their consistency over the last 6 weeks, and now you see them come out and produce what they did on the weekend. They're primed for a huge game to try and put themselves in another grand final.
I'm so interested to see how Brisbane go, because like Gus said, they're happy to throw caution to the wind and have a dead set crack. But a few weeks ago, I think it was the week before the semi-finals, they played a real tough brand of football. Like, it was a different brand. I remember saying, Michael Maguire must be pulling his hair out. He wants his tough football team. They hadn't produced it then that week they go out and produce it. They played a real tough brand of football. And then the week later, they obviously went back to their old ways.
That was against Storm, wasn't it?
Against the Storm. But
Yeah.
so they do have the ability to go there and to play that systematic football if they want to, but it's not generally their first thought.
Yeah, I think with the Panthers too, you know, I know it's a big win yesterday, but with what ball the Bulldogs did have, I think they had 7 line breaks through their left-hand defence. They scored 4 tries through their left-hand defence. Probably should have scored another couple. And Casey Maguire left the field injured at one stage yesterday, had a shoulder complaint. It is a target for the Broncos. They've got some big people on that side of the field. Katoni Staggs, that's where he runs the ball. It'll come down to possession and field position, where the game is played. That'll be Cleary's aim. Cleary will have them coming off their line all day. If they can complete 20 from 20 and get the Broncos playing off their own goal line, they'll wear the Broncos down. But if the game's loose, there are opportunities to break this Panther defence line, unlike in previous years. You know, their left-hand defence does struggle.